We got online.
We've got the
Graham,
governance.
Following. Okay. We record. Okay, welcome everybody to meeting of the Finance and Governance Committee. Welcome to everybody. I think on my briefing sheet now, I have to remind attendees to show respect for all throughout the meeting in line with the obligations of the Code of Conduct, and to receive it as, and if desired, resolve to approve any apologies for absence, which we'll do next. Do we have any apologies for absence?
Just a spell.
Just a step. Okay, item 2, do we have any declarations of interest and dispensations?
Just if you look at the paper, the confidential paper later on, if you know any of the names in there that they're your friends, you might feel that you need to declare an interest, but that's a personal decision for you to do so.
If you know them, you declare an
Look,
interest, or if they're your friend.
The flowchart says you need to be
Yes, that's what I will.
partner, relatives, or friends.
No, right, fine, thank you.
Yes, Carol.
Okay,
Know them.
public participation, welcome Graham. I can see you're online with us. So to receive members of the public who wish to address the meeting in respect of any items of business included in the agenda. No resolutions may be made under this item and should relate only to matters of council policy or practice and not individual affairs of the questioner or any other named person. Anybody have got anything they want to ask? No. Okay.
Carol's joined us.
Oh, hi Carol, thank you for joining us.
Hi, everybody.
Minutes of the last meeting, that you included,
I could look for
Appendix.
time to
speak.
amend all to Alvin, that's that should be a question.
Oh, yes.
I'll just go through them page by page for accuracy. That's page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. And page 5. Everybody got items for accuracy. Would anybody like
I'm happy to.
you propose them? Thank you.
Yeah.
Alison, seconded for that. Thank you, Councillor Barry. All those in favour to accept the minutes is true.
Hands up.
Yes, it's Saturday.
Thank you. Any abstentions?
Yeah, I wasn't there for the full meeting, so I got to.
Okay, thank you, Phil. Matters arising from the minutes?
Can I just clarify? I obviously sent my apologies for the meeting, but I watched it online afterwards, which is why I was able to do it.
Thank you, Alison. You've got a list of the decisions and the action log at the end.
They all went to council and were approved.
They're all approved. Okay, and Richard? And you could probably pair.
Yeah, I looked separate copy for you. That's something.
No other matters arising from those minutes. Everybody's happy to move on?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Item 5, business planning and financial matters. So 5.1 for the council accounts, which appendix C. And we have the graph showing the current position of cash and bank totals for the year, which again continues to look positive compared to net last year.
Yeah.
Appendix C is the income and expenditure details. If I go through that page by page in case anybody has got any questions for that. So page 1.
Just pondering over IT costs. I noticed that's quite a lot more than budgeted.
Yes, I've got that marked as well.
Yeah. The budget for next year accurately reflects the contractual liabilities that we have. That's the reason for the overspend. Council set the budget too low in the current year.
And I noticed a substantial amount of miscellaneous costs. So that wonder if there's anything particular in there that they need to have attention brought to.
I can have a look through the code if you want me to share what's in there. It's usually the reconciliation of petty cash, the stuff, because even though it's cash, you have to show it in the ledger what's being spent. But we can have a look and drill down to see exactly what that figure is. I'll circulate that.
Thanks.
That's, anybody else have page 2? Just
Yes,
go.
it was 1105 and 1110. I just wanted to say it's good to see that we're so well over what we expected in income. But I did want to check whether this was because income was underestimated or whether it is it?
So income in the assembly room was underestimated,
Yes.
but income in the corn exchange
Was over.
we're not going to hit that.
No.
That figure. However, the whole town hall income has been buoyed by the grants. So it's the BLT giving back the repairs and maintenance grant is that 9,500.
Yes.
Also the community fridge grant sits under there as well.
Yeah.
Just to note though, of course, this is the figures of what we should have. It's not necessarily cash.
No.
So of course, this is like sales ledger. It might not be necessarily, but those invoices
Yeah.
are being paid.
Yes.
Because it looks like we have a lot of income, but in reality.
But we've got a lot of expenditure as well. Yes.
That's the debtors.
That's the debtors list.
Ah.
No, people see it sometimes and think, oh, we've got lots of money. It's just a figure on them
Yes,
until we
of course
get it
it is.
realised.
Yes.
Page 3.
I'm just waiting to be
Sorry,
called here. I just wanted to continue on the subjects of the community fridge, because obviously we've not spent the whole of the grant, and I wonder what the situation is as regards ongoing expenditure, or whether we need to return part of the grant.
Right, so the community fridge on here is showing at 1242, and we did loads of invoices today for the fridge, and we've got it to about 1,500 and something. We've also pre-bought 5 food hygiene level 2 food hygiene training courses that we can put people on. We can buy them now and then. Unfortunately, though, we're going to have to return what is not spent as part of our plan. We basically got a good deal on the fridges. We'd originally estimated in the budget that we were going to spend 1,500 on fridges, and we only ended up spending 700. So there is money left. I'd rather not go see it go back, because I don't know what Powers would do with it. That's your grant, Richard. I don't know if you would get it back to the side to go somewhere else, or would they let us reallocate it to a different anti-poverty scheme, or do we need to spend it?
Alison?
I have sent to Aggie, which I believe she's forwarded to you, information on second-hand fridges with glass fronts that would be fitting within the grant.
Do you think there's space in the downstairs?
I think there needs to be space, because a glass-fronted fridge is what you need. Otherwise, people don't know what's in, and I think moving the small fridge to a different place and putting the glass-fronted fridge next to the freezer would be a helpful move.
It's just at the moment, the fridge isn't actually being used a lot.
No,
it
it
is the
isn't.
freezer more, so would it be better to get another freezer?
Well, it's a glass-fronted fridge that is the thing that people will go to, because it's where they'll see the vegetables. And as soon as we've got the supermarkets on board, which we are now in a position that we could, I think that they will fill up very quickly. That's generally what you have in a community fridge. I would like to see that,
Okay,
but they're considerably cheaper. And the one I sent her was an A-rated.
Okay.
So they look
yeah,
good.
both those are very rated as well.
Yes, they are.
I think
Yes.
it's-
Yeah.
That's fine. We'll have a look.
Um.
I'd hate to see it go back.
Oh, yes. Could I also add that a couple of times when I've gone in, the fridges have been moved and they're unbalanced. And I
Okay.
wonder whether they need a little bit of help to just wedge them in place so that
Yeah,
they're not.
they'll have feet that turn.
Yeah.
Will make them more stable.
Yes, it's just that obviously they're not going to work properly if they're.
Richard, did you want to say something?
I was just going to say that if it needs
my authority to do that. I don't know whether it does or not, as the county councillor who authorised the grant.
I think we've already got the approval of the
I'm
government.
happy to do that, but I was wondering whether a freezer would be more appropriate than a fridge based upon the use so far, but you obviously feel that we're going to get more fruit and vegetables in future.
And well, not just fruit and vegetables, but what most community fridges get is quite a lot of ready meals that say sell by,
Yeah,
but it's not used by.
yeah.
Now they can go from the fridge into the freezer, but they could go straight out of the freezer to somebody.
Okay.
So generally, the fridge is the place where most things go from.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll leave that to you to sort.
Yeah, we'll sort it.
Yeah.
And we still haven't done our evaluation form yet because we're waiting to know what the budget will be. So we're just sort of holding on.
I thought all the money needed to be spent by October of last year, but
We're supposed to submit the report by the 31st of January. They are not. Sure, it has to be spent. They haven't chased us anyway.
no, okay.
Ignorance is.
Okay, now moving on to page 4. Anybody got any items on page 4? No? Page 5.
Oh, I'm sorry, going back to page 3. We seem to have an income that is, I think this is an error. Recreation income total 665% of what we expected.
That's right. It's because we weren't expecting the grant 20,000 from Powers from the
Right,
Wales.
sorry, thank you, yes. I couldn't see, I tried, but obviously my maths isn't as good as.
It would be nice to get the rest of the income we were expecting in from the recreation clubs.
It would.
How's that looking?
Okay, we was waiting for the decision that you made regarding the bowling club last time to follow that one up.
Right.
Again, the 3,000 figure isn't really a true reflection of actually what we're expecting to get. It might be over estimated. I'd have to go and check and see what we've because we've had both football clubs and rugby. I'll have to go back and check.
Okay, moving on to
On page,
sorry,
I'm imagining that the increased expenditure on the toilets is predominantly because of the leak and.
Yes, you'll see there services 5,400. That's the second half yearly water bill, which of course is July to January, but of course the leak was not repaired until October, so it does include those months. So much more than we were expecting, which is unfortunate.
and then we discussed at the last meeting. Yeah. Okay, page 6. And page 7.
Can I just point out that the income on commission sales is well up,
Yes,
yes, which is great to see.
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's difficult to judge because those people might have paid now, but we don't need to pay out their money yet. So the
Yeah.
two are in a not a
Yes,
they're
I
not
do
sync in
realise
sync,
that.
but
That's a
yeah, no, it's a very
bit of a,
Okay, so you're happy to note those items.
yeah.
So
Thank
we'll move
you.
on to payment of invoices for veteran, which is appendix E. Have you got any queries on either of those 1, 2, 4 pages?
I just draw your attention to one. So if you wonder why Eric Neville Catering Supplies is on the list, basically they went into administration sometime last year, and the administrators have now said that we owed these 2 invoices, which was correct in our system. So this is paying the administrators for that. It was paid earlier this week. You'll also notice in there that we're getting around to paying the council allowances for the current financial year.
Yeah, sorry, this is now on appendix F.
We are.
Yes.
Yes. It's a judgment of when you do it, because of course you don't want to do it too soon, because if someone leaves, then and stuff. Also you'll note that Jackson's is slightly lower than everyone else's, it's because his has been calculated on a daily basis, to make sure that it's the correct number of days since he got elected in August.
Would anybody like to propose that we recommend payment to those invoices? Yes, thank you, Bill. Alison seconded it. Everybody in favour?
Hands up.
Unanimous. You said yes. Appendix G is the next item, which is the environmental.
You got scrutiny first. Yeah. You got 5.3 first, scrutiny of payments.
Where am I lost then?
There's no paper for it.
Okay.
So it's just to hear from Phil about his scrutiny of payment next time for January.
I'm sorry, I can't hear afterwards, they're all okay.
We're just needing you to confirm you did the scrutiny of payments.
Yeah,
for January.
under 5.3 is it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's, I was in the office, I checked some of the payments made and the checks made out against the invoices that had come in and this and the other. And they were, all the ones I checked were perfectly in order and everything else. I have no recommendations to make on it whatsoever. The way it's done is very good.
Thank you very much for doing that, then. Bill?
Next person is Estelle, and then it's Richard, and then it's Bill.
Yeah.
And then we'll wait until we've gone through those a couple, then we'll get some more.
So move to 5.4, which are the environments, which is appendix G. Over to you, Richard.
Yeah, so the first environment you've got, so environment number 7, if you can see in the top corner, this is reflecting the fact that we're now employing cleaners directly as opposed to the agency. So it's moving money from the cleaning and maintenance, cleaning materials budget to salaries, basically. Transferring it to the salary, HMRC and pensions budget. It's just tidying up the budget.
But do we actually need a proposer and seconder to, yes?
Yeah, because it needs to, only full council can approve environment, so you need to recommend them.
Yeah.
Do you want to do it separately, or do you want to do it for each one?
You can do them both if you.
I don't think there's anything to worry about in any of them, so.
Okay, well, the other two environments then, environment 8 is basically we're gonna have some legal costs of the lease, but there's no budget for it, but of course we've got an underspended meal cost because we're now not responsible for it. So that's moving money from there to make that work. And also we needed some more money in the equipment budget in admin because we've got new staff starting and there was some money left over in various different other codes that are moving around to.
We nominate, yes, so Bill's proposing that we accept it or recommend those.
That's a recommend.
Full council. Second, I think Richard, thank you. All those in favour?
Yeah.
Hands up.
Thank you, Carol. And Dana. You. So item 5.5 is the strategic plan. I looked at it earlier today and I think you might be able to update it a bit.
So the first one, FS1, is now it's not probably likely to go to auction now in February. We're looking at April. That must have been pushed back slightly, but talking to our estate agents earlier, we've had a significant number of interest in it, which is positive. And then FS2, that work is still in progress, but as you know, we can get to the staffing update later, we're doing benchmarking in other places as well, so that kind of incorporates all of that. And other things are either ongoing or have been completed. The bits that are not started is EN1, which is around the place plan, town hall transformation. Actually, we've done a community workshop, so that one can probably be ongoing.
Yeah.
We have already held one for the fashion.
EN2 is year 2, so that's next year. And also we've already started, so we've got now a carnival working group, which met actually earlier this week on Monday, and I would invite any members of the public to please come along and participate in organising their carnival. it's very disheartening when you read the comments on social media the day after the carnival with lots of good ideas. We need people to be engaging now with the carnival, which is fine. And then EN3 is the volunteer strategy, so that's in year 2. So
And the volunteer policy is on the agenda.
it is, yeah. So the policy and the strategy. But we'll actually have a strategy. We've been talking with other tourism providers in Welshpool, and we've sort of joined together as a group called Promote Welshpool, and we're working together as a tourism collective. And they would like to see how we can coordinate maybe a volunteer forum, because all the organisations need volunteering. And actually, this ties in very well to the work we've been doing in the town hall group about talking about volunteering and promoting volunteering. So hopefully that'll be fleshed out a lot more in next year.
Any questions or comments on that, Richard?
Could I just ask when the next newsletter is due?
Yeah, end of March. So we
Right, aren't you going to run into problems with PERDA with the Senate elections? Do you put out printed material during the election campaign?
It's a difficult one. We may
Or do you just have to be more careful about its content?
look. You have to be more careful. The stuff in there is factual anyway. But maybe I'll have to pare down the elements that relate to individual councillors.
Yeah.
Especially from parties. But we'll check it against the guidance.
Okay.
There's a very, very extensive code of publicity that the Welsh Government publish in accordance with the Local Government Housing Act 1989. So it's very comprehensive.
I know as far as the county council is concerned, you know, kind of
They do
everything
stop
shuts down basically from around about the last week in March.
We will check, because actually the Senate isn't dissolved until the 8th of April. So it depends when the notice of election is published, when PERDA begins. The pre-election period is usually called. We just need to look at the dates and work out what it is. But if we need to do it earlier, we'll do it earlier. But we've put a call out on social media for events and news, and we've had a lot back from organisations. So we're hoping there'll be a lot more.
Good.
Very positive.
Well, I would ask if that we do put something very strong and challenging out about the carnival, because we really do need more people to come forward.
Yeah, it was on my Welshpool on Friday. I think it was in the County Times as well. We'll continue to do what we can do. We need
But the good
the
thing
word
about
of mouth to spread.
the good thing about the newsletter is that because it's in print, it's there to look at tomorrow as well as today, sort of thing. So, yeah.
And of course, the next edition will be the last one we do with Royal Mail before reviewing how successful it was. Because actually, I've just had a letter to the post from Powys about my waste changing. My day is actually changing, so worthwhile. But you know, that was addressed, and you know, you can see it's gone to everyone then. So maybe we do need to, when we look at the review, perhaps we need to look at the ways and cons of addressed mail versus just delivered.
Addressed mail is very expensive.
A lot
Very
more
expensive,
expensive. Yeah.
Yes.
And do my bin waste sticker just went to the occupier.
Mine was the occupier and then my address. So you don't have to put their name on it, but it is more.
Okay, moving on to item 6, which is strategy and policy. 6.1 is the procurement strategy, which is appendix J.
So those of you who can remember from Audit Committee asked me to put together a procurement policy which aligned with our financial regulations, and this is the outcome of that. I'm happy to change anything or whatever. Hopefully you can see in there that we're trying to promote spend in local places. As part of the annual report, I've already started to do some work about where our money is spent. At the last count, 48% of our expenditure was spent in Powys, which is a positive number, but I'm sure we can try and build that more. I know in Powys in particular, it's very important about the Powys pound. So if we can make it important about the Welshpool pound and the Powys pound, then that helps as well. The difficulty is we've got rather large payments to large organisations like HMRC, which of course aren't based in Powys. So I put that salaries in Powys, but things like our insurance goes to a multinational company, but of course they're not based in Powys, so they skew the data slightly.
Yeah, perhaps we can find a way of expressing the data that excludes some of those that are inevitably beyond bounds.
Going down to item 7 of this, you'll see 100 to £1,000 Then if you go down to the next section, which is no, go down to section 9. You'll see all procurements above £100. So I suggest, I have spoken to Richard, I would suggest that we simplify this by putting everything to do with 100 to 1,000 in one place and everything to do with something else, you know, so that when staff are carrying out work, they can simply see what applies to the rate that they're looking at. Whereas it is divided up into bits and they've got to read the whole policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're happy, I'll take that line
Yeah.
out and, well, it's
Just move it in.
already in there. It says records of estimates and the reason collection must be retained,
Yes,
which is what that is reflecting.
yes, it says it must have written proportionate specification.
Yeah,
And on that one, it says 3 estimates. It doesn't actually mention.
that's fine, we'll just move that line.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And it needs to go in on the over 1,000 and over 30,000 as well.
Yes,
It needs to go in. I know it's a pain putting it in 3 times, but I think
No,
it'll
no,
probably be
no, it's
easier.
supposed to be comprehensive, so that's.
Yeah.
Is it clear in it that only authorised people can procure things?
Well, that's in our financial regulations.
Yes.
I just think it's weird.
I can put it in there, yeah, it's fine.
I thought it was.
You can't just go out and spend money.
Well, it says,
I think it says.
in section 5, it says authorised purchase
Yes.
officers may procure within delegated limits, so it does mention
Yes,
what
Yeah.
financial regulations does mention.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I just thought it might be strengthening it if
That's fine, we can
it's
strengthen that
clear
section.
that only authorised people can.
Okay. Yeah, it's fine, we can strengthen that
Cause an
section.
expenditure.
Okay.
I did like the part that says that doing it when you're not authorised is a code of conduct.
yes.
And for staff, it would be
It's cool.
an employment issue.
I must admit, I read this through thinking it would have been good to have had this some time ago.
Sorry, Ben?
I read this through thinking it would have been good to have had this some years ago. But
Hindsight's wonderful, isn't it?
it's,
Hindsight is.
it is important.
You'll note the section on section 13 in particular about ethics.
Yeah.
Look, not many people know that actually staff have a code of conduct. It's not well known in the sector that staff have a code of conduct, and actually that, we're going to do much more about publicising that with staff, because you have to remember that this is public money, but if we've always procured with someone because we know them down the pub, that doesn't really wash in terms of audit. That's an ethical dilemma. But if they were tendering against other people and were successful, then you can show the evidence that they were successful.
The fact you know them down the pub is irrelevant.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
I think section 12 is of particular importance because that is about the ongoing management of
Yes.
work. And I mean, I'm happy with that as it's written, but if I do wonder if there's anything that could be slightly stronger.
Yeah.
In terms of, for example, how often things need to be reported and so forth.
Yeah,
I'm happy to strengthen anything.
yeah, but that's a very good point, actually. It says it will actively manage, but it doesn't say and,
And report.
yes, and report, and whether that report is to you and then you report it to the appropriate committee.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
probably what it would go. And to be fair,
Yes.
and probably most of our contracts, to be fair, is usually property.
Yeah,
There'll be lots of development that would be reported.
Yes.
But also I think you as well as responsibility for looking at finances more generally should have an oversight as well of spending on a contract. We haven't got that many contracts, but all the contracts we've got are very low value at the moment. And they're for annual things. They're like, we've got a contract for annual PPM maintenance, which is the cleaning of like kitchen equipment. That it's very low value.
But that could well change.
Because I know at one time we did set up what do we call it?
Project management. working
Project
group.
management working group.
Mm.
And at the moment, there aren't really any projects to manage necessarily. But as time goes on, I think we may want to continue doing that for specific larger contracts. Should we have them?
Or unless they go to audit, our audit committee on a
Yeah,
regular
I
basis,
just
but I think
they
it
need
needs a step
monitoring
between.
On a more regular basis.
Yes, it
than
needs a
that
step
if it was a
between.
major contract. That's what would happen, you know, as you know, Richard, in a large organisation that does a lot of big
Yeah.
projects with large amounts of
Yeah.
money.
We were forever reporting to a project board or
Yeah.
in the county council.
Yeah.
It's important. That's fine. I'll strengthen that section.
Okay, so does someone want to propose the
Yeah.
procurement policy with the
With the
amendment?
amendments, yes, I'm happy to.
Could
go forward.
I just make another suggestion, if that's okay, Chair?
Go ahead, David.
Thank you. Yes, so just under 10, local social environmental value, I wondered if we wanted to add a bullet point, something along the lines of to procure in a globally responsible way. But noting that we have already put reduced environmental impact and carbon footprint, that is one significant way to be globally responsible, but obviously not the only way, thinking of fair trade and such practices. But yes, overall, very happy to have this policy.
Yeah.
It's one of those, why didn't we have it before? Wouldn't it have been good to have it before?
Yes.
Happy to add that in if you want. What the difficulty with that one is well, actually, we could just reflect the fact that I'm thinking about the new is it the Social Partnership Act that Welsh Government passed? But we could reference that there because that's about procurement.
Could I suggest that in that first sentence, where lawful and compatible with best value, the council will seek to purchase in a globally responsible way
Yeah, fine.
to So we just put it in that first sentence because it actually covers everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's fine. What you might not know about best value, but we're not technically a best value authority.
No.
Something that was established by the Government Act 1999. Some councils still are. Really, Shrewsbury Town Council is, but we're not. But we should always act as we are a best value authority, which is what the policy tries to do.
Yeah, because best value doesn't sound that you mean most value.
No.
No, it doesn't.
What does it mean? No, it
Um,
doesn't mean.
You'll also note section 14, records and audit. As part of our financial systems, we are now going to be storing the tenders and quotations for items over the certain values to make sure that everything's in one place in our system. So if we are audited, we can just go to it and say, look, here are the tenders or here are the quotes that we got.
Yes.
It's important because things get lost over time.
Yeah.
In email.
So did we have a proposal for the, so Alison with the amendments?
Yeah.
A suggestion, seconded for that?
Hands up.
Thank you, Carol. All those in favour?
Hands
Hands up.
up.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, the volunteer policy, which is appendix K.
So this one was written very quickly. So that's why the wording on the agenda says to make any suggestions for adoption in the future. If you don't want to adopt it this evening, or we can go here and make adoptions, make amendments now and then adopt it later. I appreciate that it does repeat itself in some places.
If I can start.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with it, other than there are some things missing.
That's fine.
So in recruitment and selection.
Yeah.
Because we've had this debate, certainly in the hub, they have a tendency, if somebody fills in a volunteer form, don't become a volunteer, they don't feel that they can say no to them. My opinion is, with the experience I have, is we have to have something that protects people from allowing people who would be disruptive or not conducive or actually deter other volunteers from staying with it.
Yes.
And to be able to do that. So we need to be able to state on this that there is a system where So it's under select, recruitment and selection. The selection gives an indicator that we don't have to select.
No,
So it's to include that. And I thought something like the wording, but I'm sure you can
No, go on.
phrase it better. The council is not obliged to accept an application to volunteer, and may decline an application, but we need to put the reasons why.
Okay.
So it could be that volunteering is oversubscribed.
Yeah.
I was imagining instances where one of our volunteers was a victim of domestic abuse, and their former partner decides that they're going to volunteer alongside them.
Yeah.
Or anything where,
Yes.
Yeah.
and in the selection process, we probably need almost a, particularly for this, so I'll go back one step. I think the one-off volunteer for an event
Mhm.
is different to long-term
Yeah.
volunteering, like in the community fridge, the hub, and when we had it at the places.
Yeah.
So that we need to, particularly in the safeguarding area, be more on point on safeguarding, and actually as part of that process, so they get an informal interview, but we actually conduct a risk assessment, which in most cases will be very simple.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's fine, come along. But we actually do consciously think as
Yeah.
to what the risk is or not of
That's
allowing this person to volunteer.
Can I steal a word?
You go, yeah, I'll give you this back.
I'm not sure.
Ending volunteers, there's volunteers may stop volunteering at any time. And we need to make sure that's on both parties,
Gotcha.
so
Yeah.
we can end it and they can end
That's the
it.
point I was going to make, yeah.
Another thing was we need a section in it on diversity, in that the council will not discriminate against people who wish to volunteer under the strands of the Diversity Act.
I think that can be taken straight from our employment policy, can't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, I think it needs to be
Yes, it needs to come just straight into this.
So things
Yes.
about discrimination.
Those are given in our equality policy.
Yes.
I understand, I see them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know you've got in, Safeguarding.
You know, when you had, sorry, you said the council is not obliged to accept.
Yeah.
Who is making the decision?
well, in this policy, to you, because you are the responsible person.
Okay.
But, and I'm only suggesting this for long-term volunteering. But that should obviously be in conjunction with the responsible people
Yeah. But
who are day-to-day managing the service, really.
Yes.
No, because it can't be just one person.
No,
no.
But other than that, it was generally fine.
Phil, sorry.
Phil, sorry, go ahead, Phil.
Oh,
I'll go to Phil first, if you don't mind. They always have to wait till that.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Phil. Councillor
What, me?
Owen?
Yeah.
Yes, thanks, Morag. The only point I would make on this is there is a tendency, I think, to assume that volunteers cost us nothing. They actually cost us quite a lot and the terms of the policy makes it fairly clear that there is quite a lot that we have to do when we take volunteers on. So I think there has to be some sort of cost benefit analysis in all operations to recruit volunteers, because it may be actually more expensive in the long run for us to be taking on volunteers than not sometimes.
But yeah, and I think my suggestion that says we we don't have to accept them as volunteers if we not. One of those conditions is that it may not be cost effective to use volunteers in certain in what they want to volunteer for, so we can include that.
Yeah.
Okay, Richard?
Yeah, recruitment and selection, it's all a bit vague. Second paragraph, for longer term roles, volunteers will normally be asked to complete an application form and attend an informal meeting. So what will they be asked in the application form? What's the point in it? And then attend an informal meeting with whom? I mean, will this include, for example, regular volunteers at the hub? Will they need to do this?
If
And,
they-
and what will be the point of this?
This is when, so recruitment and selection is when they ask to join. The existing ones are.
The existing volunteers.
So this is when new people come in now.
Okay,
You can't backdate it to.
no, I'm just not clear of the reason for it. And who will, an informal meeting with whom, you know.
I think it depends on the service. So for example, with the hub, I would expect you to have a meeting with Nick and Wendy and you know, whoever. But if you're volunteering for the fridge, then it might just be the staff, you know, the staff running the fridge. Or one of the volunteers doesn't have to be staff, you know, it can be on an informal basis. That's the point of the informal basis. Because you'd like to think before people volunteer, they would use the service or you get to know them, you know them anyway. They're not just going to turn up out of the blue and say, I'd like to volunteer, please. And that's the point of the meeting then. That's why you need the meeting to make your acquaintance and build a relationship.
Can I suggest that it's actually instead of the word interview, when you're applying for a job, you go for an interview. They're coming to volunteer their services, so they have a meeting that's actually, it's a two-way thing, being told what the role is and being an opportunity to ask questions about the role to decide whether they want to do it. It's that kind of meeting.
Could I suggest then that it says that prospective volunteers will meet with the organiser of the activity, full stop?
Rather than an informal meeting.
Bear with me, Phil. Bill has his hand up first.
I just, I'm feeling that the section 17 on grievance and conduct issues, and I suppose really 17 and 18 taken together, don't quite cover all eventualities, and I'm not sure they quite cover the situation where you have someone who regards themselves as senior as a volunteer, who actually makes life difficult for someone else or even dismisses them, and how that's dealt with. And I'm not sure how we ever in, but I just think it doesn't quite say enough.
Give me that scenario again.
Well, this is a situation that I've come across recently in a different organisation where someone was basically dismissed by another volunteer who regarded themselves as having a senior role amongst the volunteers. And
Get it.
yeah, it's the word supervisor, which is rather vague, because that's there is no one with that actual specific title of supervisor in most situations.
No, it should say responsible person.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you also have a case where actually, you know, someone may find themselves dismissed, but actually it's the person who's done the dismissing who really is
The one that should be dismissed.
I mean, it may not be possible to do anything more than just be aware of that, but it's
Yes.
I just felt it was still a little bit
Yes.
structured as though for employees rather than volunteers at that point, I think.
We think about that.
Yeah, of course. I'll
Someone.
ask Bill tomorrow when I see him and see if he's thoughts on it. You'll see.
Yeah.
So have a sleepless night.
think
Now.
about it as well.
No, it's a good point. Look, this is a policy that has been cobbled together from lots of different ones. So yeah, some elements to it may seem employmenty, but of course we don't, you know, and the point of this is to make volunteer, we don't want to make volunteering onerous, do we?
Yeah.
We want to be encouraging as much volunteering as possible, but there's also the fine line between protecting the other volunteers that we have from potential unscrupulous volunteers, that makes sense. And we felt we needed a procedure
And
to do that,
protecting
because
the
we don't have
public.
anything to do that at all. And if we've had a volunteer who, like, you know, was particularly rude, you know, whatever, we didn't have the mechanism to just get rid of them. In the nice.
But also about protecting the public for.
Definitely. Because look, when people see someone working on one of our services, they will assume
Yeah.
we're endorsing their behaviour as well. It's about standards and respect for persons.
I know you've got it in the section on risk assessment and rural design, but when I finished reading that, it was a health and safety thing. Because certainly as the responsible person, I feel responsible for the health and safety of everybody in the building, let alone volunteers. But certainly for the volunteers. And we do, or certainly I do, a mental risk assessment for volunteers. So if Rose has got a bad back, then I'll make sure she's doing duties that commensurate to her capability at the time. So we provide gainer for a chair to sit down when she's not washing up, because she's got mobility issues, but she loves to do that.
Which is then covered by section 14. But again, we were just saying before, you know, a massive part of this is all about common sense.
Yes, it is.
You know, sometimes it's hard to legislate with common sense, but yes. And I think Phil has that.
Sorry, Phil.
Yeah, we're talking about the item 9 here, the second paragraph. I think we should categorically differ between an employment interview in the office against I use the term an induction meeting for volunteers. And I also think that we should ensure that whoever does that induction meeting, it's not the same panel as would be there for an interview for a job, for instance. In other words, keep a strict line between it.
Yeah, well, I think Richard's just made the suggestion that we should change it to meet with the organisers of the service. So that line is changing anyway.
Okay.
Which I think then makes it more.
Okay.
So, for example, in the head, that might be Wendy.
Or it could be Terry.
Yes. Any more, David? Over to you, David.
Yes, I'm just wondering if the potential issue around, you know, volunteers taking it upon themselves to dismiss other volunteers, if we are concerned about that, is that covered already in the grievance and conduct issues section on number 17? So volunteers are encouraged to raise concerns informally in their supervisor in the first instance. The council reserves the right to end a volunteering arrangement. So it seems to be the council who maybe we should specify who in the council, because is it going to go to a full council meeting? Probably not. Would it be perhaps the town clerk or other responsible officer? Maybe that's more likely.
Yeah, it'd probably be the responsible person. That's the term we've tended to use throughout the thing, because that could be me or someone who's responsible for the individuals, you know,
the service.
Yeah, but that's fine. We can amend that.
So if you could do some adjustments.
Yes, of course. Do you want me to bring it back to this meeting again?
Well, no, bring it back to full council.
Okay.
Because that's what
Laura, just one other point is I think it's worth emphasising in here, picking up on Phil Owen's point, is that the purpose of volunteering, we want to not put it quite this bluntly, but it's the volunteers we want to do the jobs we want. So it is about benefiting the council and therefore the community.
Yes.
So we don't just want hordes of volunteers doing whatever.
No.
You know, if we get 200 people saying they want to come and help do the flower beds, we're going to have to say no, thank you. You know, I think we've got to be clear where the line lies. The control is with us.
Well, we were talking before about oversubscription.
Exactly.
But in that case, you would, if it was 200 people trying to do gardening, well, I would find out who the best volunteers are with expertise in gardening, and then we'd go with.
Yes.
Again, it's about using common sense.
Yes. It's just to make it clear somewhere in those opening sentences that we make it clear that this is for the benefit of Welshpool Town through the town council. That's
Bill.
Could I just say something, please?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Carol.
Would it be a good idea, maybe just an idea, if we could get somebody off the council to be like a team leader that would be able to take on board all that side of it, where they would be there if there's problems, be there, you know, if a new volunteer wanted to come on board, and it could all be filed up so it's all together in a place. And then they know that they can go back to that team leader if they've got a problem. And then from there, it will go back to the person that it needs to, in confidential. Do you understand what I'm?
Yeah, no, and that I think is done by the responsible person. So it doesn't actually have to be a staff member. When we talk about the hub, actually, there's actually 4 responsible persons,
Well, there
and
you
they
go.
are
Yeah.
Nick, Morag, and Bill. So actually, it could be any one of those. So yeah, I think we change the things. You know, we change the word supervisor to responsible person. We make it more informal, that the grievance section.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'd let you look in the ideal world. Yes, those things should be ironed out first with a nice chat with a person. You know, it's about using common sense, and but yeah, we'll find that on board.
And my experience of being on the council is that when people volunteer, they volunteer for a specific thing, whether it's the hub or whether it's something else, but if they want to do a specific thing. So I do think the way it's written in that now we've got it, the responsible person for that service area fits that very nicely. What we do get is, when I hear volunteers complaining, in the main, it's about other volunteers not doing anything. If that's the only thing, you know, they tell them
And volunteers we can't make them do things.
you can't make them do things, and so the talk is, well, there's different ways of volunteering, and just sitting down and having a chat with people is volunteering, particularly in a place like the hub. But yeah, but those things are manageable.
Yeah, just to know, just before you speak, Bill, whenever we appoint the comms officer, I think in their role it says in fact volunteer coordinating, so actually they'll be overall looking at our volunteers across our services. We've lost quite a big volunteer after potentially with Meal on Wheels, but so we're a bit more slimmed down now, but they'll be sort of managing that side of, you know, and I'm sure if anyone has a problem, they go and talk to them, they'll raise it in the private chat.
Bill?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring in one last area, and that is to do with those situations where you simply have lots of people turning up to do something on one day. I'm thinking in particular about the Key Bar Tidy week that I'm going to be involved in organising. We've no control over who comes. We hand them the gear, we give them basic instruction, and we let them on the way. But we do have a responsibility for them, and that somehow needs to just be in there. It probably is. I mean,
well, section 15 is about insurance. Health and safety is section 14. You know, hopefully it says that we are responsible for them. But you're right, and that one's a short-term volunteering.
Yeah,
a few hours on one day. It
that's
doesn't
right.
need a form or anything.
Just making clear that even though it's something very different from what most of the points there are about, these people are still volunteers. They're still offering their services. So
maybe there's something about partnership volunteering where we don't have self-control over it. It's who turns up on a day, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if I go out and pick up some litter tomorrow, I'm not doing it as a Welshpool Town Council volunteer.
No.
If I come along to your special event,
then you are.
Then I am. But who says that that is an authorised event?
Oh, the council have
the council resolved that particular
event?
Does there need to be a resolution of council?
They have to.
Okay, it has, but in general, is an activity only an authorised activity if it's been resolved to be so by full council?
And yes, as in implication of it is.
Yeah.
Because full council, everything's in the affirmative. As in, if it's silent, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're taking for that event, that People Tidy event. It went to the event planning committee, and they've agreed to do the event, and they've appointed Bill as the lead, the liaison person. But I see the point.
It did remind me of one thing though. It was maybe some clarity in the role of councillors who are. I call myself a volunteer at the hub, but I'm a councillor.
Yes,
I don't know how you do
Yes,
it,
but
Richard,
there you are
a
a
volunteer.
volunteer,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
because you're not exercising your duty as a
No.
councillor, to do that,
But
that
is there a
role.
way we can just put a
Yeah,
little bit of clarity about that? And whenever I volunteer for things, I'm not doing it as a councillor, so
No.
the flicks
And I know
it.
a lot of councillors refer to themselves as volunteers. Unfortunately, to break the bubble, you're not.
Yeah, we're not volunteers.
You're summoned to attend. You're legally required to be here, and you exercise functions on behalf of the public person you set a tax. So
Yeah.
you are elected representatives, not volunteers. But I know that people like to say they're volunteers, but there is a fine line between the two.
Okay. So, does someone want to recommend the policy with the amendments we've just asked for?
Recommend that with the amendments, it goes to full council.
Yeah.
In the amended form.
Happy to second that.
Second that. All those in favour?
Hands up.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, item 7, motion for debate. And Alison, you've requested this. I'll pass over to you.
Yes, I have, but I've also discussed with Richard and I would like to withdraw it at this stage.
Okay.
Yeah, and me and Alison discussed the legal aspects of it, and I think if when we get to the next section about 8.1 reviewing standing orders, it might be appropriate to fold this into as part of a review of standing orders, see how this could be incorporated if you wanted to. I think Alison's deferring it until the next section,
Yes.
basically.
Yes, on it, I just wanted to say that I attended the larger councils meetings a couple of weeks ago, which was really, really interesting. And I'd also attended the policy meeting that they had on Voice Wales. And because they've done research, and one of the biggest issue of all of the councils was code of conduct and councillors' behaviour. And so they are but all they're doing is going to be petitioning the government to try to make having training on the code of conduct compulsory. Now, some of the councils were already proposing to make it compulsory within their local authority. The Town Gosford was one, as they did a report back on their.
It's already part of our standing
I
orders.
thought it
You have to do it
was
within-
compulsory.
It's part of our standing orders, you have to do it within 6 months of taking office.
Yeah.
However, it's not a legal requirement. Even if you broke standing orders, you're not going to get thrown off the council. So Welsh Government looking at strengthening that by making it mandatory, because funny enough, as a councillor, there is no mandatory training, but if you're a school governor,
Yeah.
you have to do
Mandatory
mandatory training and data training.
Yes.
Which is a funny one, and there's no mandatory training for me, but for be a clerk of the governing body, you have to go on clerk of the governing body mandatory training. So there's a funny disconnect between the two. However, at the moment, Welsh Government, I attended a workshop with Welsh Government. They're looking to use a lot more of the local resolution policy, which I believe you have adopted. But basically, it is a policy where smaller disagreements between councillor and councillor and officer can be sorted out locally. However, that does sort of conflict with the case law of the Ledbury case that was done a couple of years ago, where it says that councils can't impose sanctions. So there needs to be some sort of clarity from our government about what, and usually the things that we're talking about usually aren't low level, which means that it just ignores the local resolution policy and goes straight up to a higher point. And as we all know, the Ombudsman does not have the resources in place to deal with the complaints it has. I mean,
I've done them with local resolution training, and it is very much about low level, nip it in the bud before it needs to go any further.
me and Alison have gone to plenty of conferences where we've just listened to people who have got 15 complaints and they're still dealing with them all. I know that there's a town council in Powys in particular had 30% of all ombudsman referrals in Wales from their one council.
Makes us feel lucky.
Yes.
So Phil? Councillor?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, I agree with Richard. I think we have to wait for guidance on this and for any potential changes in the regulation. But if it comes back in the form it's in, I mean, I would have concerns about the precedent that this would create. I think that there are three dangers really. I think it's possible to use this tactically, which I think is anti-democratic. Also, it could create problems if you have multiple councillors who become the subject of a complaint, regardless of the merits of the complaint. It's something that you would have to apply across the board. So you could leave yourself with nobody chairing any committees. And also, I mean, however it's worded, I think it's always going to be at least quasi-disciplinary, and as such, it sails very close to the wind as far as the Ledbury judgment is concerned. And I struggle to see how it could be worded to get round that, because I think whatever we do is going to fall foul of that judgment. That's just my view, if and when it comes back for discussion.
Thank you, Phil. We have agreed with that. It's not going to be discussed today. And I have got David with his hand up.
Yes, while I agree this type of thing's very hard to manage, to balance, democratic expression versus protecting councillors and the public. It's also very much something I sympathise with in terms of the tension behind wanting to do this. In this council, for example, how many councillors we've lost, and those councillors have said it's due to councillor conduct. So we're in a bit of a desperate situation, really, aren't we? Because we can only burn through so many residents of the town before we run out of people who are willing to do the job. So I welcome this avenue of investigation, even though some might not feel that this particular policy suggestion is one we want to adopt at this moment.
Thank you. We shall move on. So item 8.1, review of standing orders and committee structure.
Yeah, it was just the annual meeting will soon be upon us, and it's always good to review our standing orders, see what's working, see what's not working, reflect on what's happened in the year. Also, we had a new committee structure this year. It'd be good to evaluate how people think if that's been successful, etc. That was quite a big change from what was previously happened. So, just proposing that a few of you work with me to review standing orders and propose some amendments back to this committee. But in time for me.
I'd be very happy to.
Yeah, I'd be willing to do it. Anybody else would like to do that?
I think I would propose that Councillor Owen be part of this.
Councillor
Owen.
Councillor Owen, are you happy to do that as mayor in your experience of it?
Absolutely fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And if anybody else?
Yeah, you need to have a little vote to set it up.
Okay.
If you can.
I shall propose it.
Okay.
I can propose it.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Richard. All those in favour?
Hands up.
Thank you, Carol. Dave. Okay, item 8.2, appointment of the internal auditor.
Yes, unfortunately, this couldn't wait for the audit committee. I do apologise, but so yeah, basically, every year you're supposed to reappoint the internal auditor. Now I can't find any evidence that you have for the last couple of years, so we need to do it.
Yes.
These are the same people that we used last year, and they've given us the quote, and it's in line with what the budget we've set. So it's just the council was supposed to agree with the
And
election.
you did talk about going out to the market.
I did, and I was
To
very
find-
unsuccessful.
Yeah.
There's definitely a gap in the market. I find some spare time. I've become an internal auditor.
So,
Yeah, honestly, it just can't be anything.
I'm pretty sure, actually, to be fair, it may not be minuted, but we have actually had, we're planning to go back to the
Good.
same auditor, but it just isn't minuted.
No, and it's just
No.
nobody.
Yes.
The auditor
No.
doesn't care until it's audited.
No,
That's the problem.
exactly.
It's limited, it didn't.
No,
Exactly.
no, but I can recall the
That's fine.
conversations.
Would anybody like to propose?
I
that
propose we to go ahead with what the town clerk has suggested.
So seconded, Bill seconded it. All those in favour?
Hands up.
We'll be pleased to know that they have accepted.
Unanimous. So thank you. Okay, the date of the next meeting, I know that the next meeting of Finance and Governance Committee will be held on the 18th of March 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Okay, well then we like resolve that we're going to public.
Yeah, one thing I just want to say, in view of some of the comments just made, is that I'm very pleased that the minutes that we now have of meetings are very full. And very informative. But I would be very happy to propose that we now go into private session.
Thank you, Bill. I second it for that.
Yes.
Thank you, Alison. All those in favour?
Hands up.
Hands up.